Hello, my name is Tennøe, and I'm the director of the Norwegian Board of Technology. We are an independent public body for technology assessment, and we advise the Norwegian Parliament and government about new technology that will be important for Norway. When we communicate, we want to be and to be perceived as an honest and trusted knowledge broker. So it must be clear that we are non-partisan. We are independent from lobbyists and vested interests. All we do must be based on the best available knowledge, and we need to be transparent about what our sources are and how we work, what our processes are. We choose our own projects, so we spend a lot of the time finding the most relevant topics. We start asking what's important for Norway now and in the future, and where will technology play an important role? And not least, what can Parliament do to change this? Where is the room for action? And that's actually not trivial. I often find myself asking my project managers exactly, so what? You have the analysis, you have an expert group, but what does this imply? Do we only describe problems, or do we actually show the room for action? Only providing problems and a problem description for the MPs, that's like sending them a shit package in a way, because they don't get any tools, any options for doing something about it. Also crucial is to find the right timing and to explain what is urgent to do right now. So if you do a long-term study, you need to backcast and say, okay, in the long term, this is what we think might happen. This is the developing trends. So what do we do now? And what do we do 5 years from now? Third challenge then is to work knowledge-based and research-based when you have fast developing technologies and the world is changing fast. So of course we use literature reviews, but we also use expert groups, hearings, interviews, and we need to be pragmatic to find the best available knowledge and ask perhaps, what are they doing in the EU? What they're doing in Germany? What they're doing in Sweden and Denmark, of course. Well, the good news is this. The importance of science and technology is, I would say, self-evident to policymakers. We have had a very fast developing digitalization, and it's everywhere. It affects our daily lives. It's crucial to business, to public service, and it's a key even to foreign policy and security. Another thing about digitalization is that it's so clear that it's both about material effects, but also about values. Another thing is the crisis we've been living through. We have the pandemic crisis. It was all about science and technology, from epidemiology to the massive and rapid development of an mRNA vaccine. And we're also in this emerging climate crisis, and that must be firmly based on scientific predictions and an unprecedented offensive to develop new renewable energy technologies. So we see actually a development where the importance of research and science-based policymaking and technology assessment is unquestionable, and it's accepted the way I see it. A challenge is that the tempo is increasing. Okay, we've just had the pandemic crisis, and we needed to develop a rapid response mechanism to provide policymakers with a changing situation, with good knowledge, best available knowledge, what kind of actions could we take, but also what are the uncertainties. So it's possible to be clear and communicate that clearly. And I think actually Norwegian politicians and experts were quite good about it. We have seen in the latest years, I've seen a development that we are publishing more short policy briefs on a higher frequency. And that's because we need to have a rapid response, and it needs to be read by the politicians, actually. But we need, of course, a transparent knowledge base, and we need to publish a report in addition to that. I will give a simple future tip. Get serious about future analysis to keep up with the increasing tempo, increasing pace. We say that the pandemic that we saw, it was not a black swan. It was a gray rhinoceros that we knew were coming, but we ignored it. So I think it will be very useful in the future to use scenarios, both for crisis and emergencies, like the pandemic, but also for wanted futures. What kind of future do we want? What kind of actions can we do to get there? And I think also horizon scans and trends analysis will be very valuable moving forward. Actually, we started doing a small trend analysis every January for the Parliament. So we give them what are the main trends that will need to be discussed for the next year. And when we do this future analysis, of course, for us, we must never forget to backcast and say, so what? What are the options here? What are the alternative routes we might take? What do we need to do now? Thank you.